Richard here, and in this video I'm going to be diving into the law of vibration and what the law of vibration is, how to apply it in your daily regimen and getting the results that you want to get. So before I even talk about getting started, I want to tell you a few things. This video might turn out to be very long. I don't know how long, but I have a lot of things to go over in this video. And if you don't want to watch something that might be 20, 30 minutes, I highly suggest you just click off. I mean, it's not going to be a short video. So if that's not for you, you should probably just leave. It's not going to really help you. Yeah, if that's not for you, please just click off, because the longer a video is, normally the less people are going to remain there and watch. But if I tell you this in the beginning of the video, then at least the people that are watching from this point onward will be committed to hearing what I have to say. So now that you've heard that one thing, the second thing is that the law of vibration is very subjective. And I feel that all the laws are also very subjective. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you from my own lens and perspective what I believe the law of vibration is and how to apply it and all that jazz, right? You're going to be getting my own perspective. So if you come into this with an open mind and you understand that it is subjective and you're just hearing what I have to think, you can take what you believe works for you and what doesn't, then that's the best frame of mind that you can have. So I also want you to understand that as well. So those are the two things that I want to go over. Now that I have, let's get started now. So when it comes to the law of vibration, you hear a lot of common statements like everything vibrates at a specific frequency. Everything has a vibration. Everything is vibration. You'll hear a lot of common statements about this vibration. And what exactly is this vibration? So intuitively, you would kind of know that vibration correlates to feeling. It correlates to emotion. So, for example, a high vibrational frequency would be love, peace, and joy if you feel good, right? That's what it would be. And for a low vibrational frequency, that would correlate to emotions like anger and frustration and being sad or depressed. Those can be low vibrational frequencies. So it's very intuitive. And I'll tell you this, you don't need to know all of the emotions on the vibration chart to understand how to use the law of vibration. You don't need to know all of that stuff. But first of all, how is the law of vibration effective? So when you become the person that you need to become from an identity standpoint, by the way, I've made plenty of videos about this. I'll make sure to link a video that better explains this. But moving on, when you become that person, the identity that you need to become that is worthy of achieving something, you end up radiating something that I think about as conviction, your intent. Because when you consciously intend on becoming somebody, you have this inner conviction within you. And from what I've experienced, that conviction almost creates this vibration, this high vibration within you. When this conviction is raised, you may find that the actions you take, you may get your way a lot more. It's going to be more smoother than it would have been otherwise. And it's very interesting how that works because, for example, if you're trying to achieve a goal and things aren't going your way, even though you know you want it, you don't necessarily need the goal. You don't even have a strong desire towards it, but it's still not going your way. But if you almost recalibrate your sense of being and who you are, and you reconfirm to yourself, oh, no, I don't need this desire, but I do want it. So I'm going to become who I need to become. And when that happens, your conviction almost recalibrates itself as well. And this conviction is what kind of allows things to go your way easily. So there are plenty of other ways to describe that, but that's how I'm going to describe it right now. So take with that what you will, but I'm going to now explain a more generic example. So if somebody wants to manifest a specific outcome, they think about it, emotions seem to arise within this person. So the emotions charge the thought with power, or vibration, if you will, because emotion and vibration are technically the same thing, regardless of all of the nitty-gritty technicalities. That's not really relevant. That's not going to help you get results. Just think of emotions as vibrations and vice versa. It's a lot easier. So the thought, it's going to be charged by the emotions, and it's going to catapult this individual to their goal. That's a generic way of viewing it, if you will. But this can also work against you. So it can work with things that you do not want, right? If somebody doesn't want to manifest a specific outcome, or a negative outcome, because that's all subjective, but still, they still think about the possibility, which, keep in mind, is fine. It is fine, and the emotions arise along with the thought as well. But that's also fine, regardless of whatever you hear online. Like, I've explained this so many times. That's fine. But if you fail to manage the emotions, then that is no longer fine, because now you're letting the emotions control you. And emotions are powerful. If you charge some idea or belief with emotion and you do it for long enough, but you don't understand that the relationship between you and your emotions is what really matters, then of course you're going to manifest some negative occurrence, because you don't know how to run your emotions. You don't understand your relationship to your emotions, and you're almost playing as the victim. You're playing the victim card. Your identity is that of a victim on an unconscious level. So this can also work against you, right? So it's no longer fine when you fail to manage the emotions, because the emotions tend to give the thought power, right? Failure to manage your emotions means that you may manifest an occurrence that you don't want. So you will manifest said outcome due to your inability to manage your emotions. It sucks, but that's how it is. But to be honest, you have a lot of ways to override the cycle even before it becomes a problem. It's just because most people are not aware enough to understand what's going on that they make it a problem. So vibration is, in simpler terms, emotions. When you focus on becoming, which is, in my opinion, it's the most powerful way to approach this esoteric concept of manifestation. It's the best. I know everything is subjective, but I believe that it's the best, right? It's the most powerful way of manifestation. So when you focus on becoming, you subsequently, again, as I said before, you create conviction in that becoming. Thus, you raise your vibration. But here's where things get interesting. you may realize that raising your vibration in itself is more of an effect than a cause. So it's powerful as well as a law. It is the law of vibration. But from what I've seen and from what I've experienced, it hinges on certain principles. More so, and it's dependent on those principles. So now that you know how the law of vibration influences the results you get, I want to break down some mainstream ideas around the law of vibration. These statements, if taken in a less effective context, meaning it's interpreted in a context that's not beneficial to you, then it's going to serve as a problem. It's going to create problems because you're not understanding the principle properly, right? I'm going to be explaining these mainstream ideas, and I'm going to break them down and really address them so you understand the law of vibration on a much clearer level. I hope that when this video ends, you will have a solid understanding of how the law of vibration works. So let's proceed. The first statement is match the frequency of the reality you desire. So to break this one down, what does frequency mean? All right? From what I've stated, you influence your frequency when you focus on who you must become. It's a cause and effect thing. And to be honest with you, the frequency in itself doesn't really matter. It's who you're becoming. Emotions don't play as much of a role as you may think it does. But I'm going to explain that later. Your frequency, vibration, or emotion is quite neglectable when you truly think about it. What matters first and foremost is the identity you assume, consciously or unconsciously, and the frequency you embody stems from your intent to embody that intended individual. So back then when I was learning about all this stuff, the law of vibration and all the other laws, I always placed heavy importance on my frequency, thinking that it was the most important thing in the world. But then I ended up realizing that none of that really mattered, because the most powerful things of manifestation almost influenced your frequency passively. It was very passive. It was cause and effect. The frequency is influenced by other principles. When you focus on who you're becoming and you become that individual, you raise your conviction. And that conviction raises your vibration. But raising your vibration is just an effect from a prior cause, which is just becoming who you need to become. So that's why I believe the whole frequency debate, like the whole fixating on your own vibrational frequency, is just, you're just focusing on something that doesn't really matter. Focus on who you're becoming every single day, and your frequency will naturally be influenced by that. It's a correspondence. So that's very important. You know, it's not as relevant as your identity and who you're becoming, right? Now, as I just said, what matters first and foremost is the identity you assume. The frequency you embody stems from your intent to embody that intended individual, which is different for everybody because, you know, it's all subjective. You know, some people will believe they need to become a different person to achieve the same goal, right? So it's different for everybody, but the conviction, as long as you get to that conviction part, then you're going to be fine, okay? The second phrase, or the second quote, if you will, is like frequencies attract like frequencies, whether positive or negative. So, okay, I'm gonna This statement is very, very subjective, and I don't want you to fall for it, okay? The biggest gaping hole in this statement is that positive and negative doesn't exist. It's very subjective. Somebody else's perspective of what makes up good and bad may be far different from yours. Therefore, taking that same logic into account, frequencies attract like frequencies may relate to different outcomes from one person to another. What I tell people is that good and bad feelings are both very beneficial for you. Believe it or not, bad feelings do play a role too. What matters most is your identity and your relationship to life itself. I'll say that again. What matters most is your identity and your relationship to life itself. That is the most important thing. It's at least one of the most important things that you can never consider, because that could be why you're stuck, or it could be why you're where you want to be right now. So, the feelings, whatever they may be, will follow in correspondence to you becoming who you need to become. Some days you'll feel bad. Some days you'll feel good. Who gives a fuck? As long as you are who you need to become. From an identity standpoint, what you feel shouldn't control what you do or what you achieve. Because the feelings are like a spectrum, right? And they'll always fluctuate. So it being a spectrum, it's going to fluctuate. It's not going to stay the same. One day you're going to feel like shit. One day you're going to feel excited. You're going to feel motivated. And then you're going to feel demotivated. Who cares? Just let the emotions do their thing. You can't try to control your emotions because you're being conditional. And that's the big problem with the law of vibration. People focus too much on their feelings. Oh, it's about how I feel. But really, manifestation is about your identity. It's about your relationship to your emotions. Are you letting your emotions control you because you're fixated on what you feel? Too bad. Focus on who you're becoming and not what you feel, because your emotions will always fluctuate. And that's the biggest flaw with the law of vibration. The same thing even just pans out to the idea that there are good and bad things, which isn't true either. It's so subjective. And that's what you need to understand. So don't fall for that trap that there is good and bad things. I know it's easy to think that. I understand you. You don't have to abandon those beliefs. I'm just placing awareness on those beliefs. As long as you're aware about it now, you're going to start thinking about it. You're going to question, oh wow, so good and bad events are subjective. So that means that the person right next to me, who is a normal, functionable human being, might perceive life in a completely different way than I do. And they might believe that good things and bad things those beliefs might be different than mine. Their perspective of good and bad might be different from mine's. And when you realize that, you understand that it's just a game. It's a mind game. It's a big mind game. Don't let your emotions control you. Don't let your vibration control you. It's about who you're embodying. So that's what I would like to say to people if they ask me about like frequencies attract like frequencies, whether positive or negative. It's just riddled with vagueness and subjectivity. You need to define that more. So I hope I defined it for you. And the last quote is essentially, the more you think about it, whether with emotion or not, you attract it. So this is my personal opinion, but if a thought carries no emotion, it's not something to worry about. in most cases, a thought may stir an emotional reaction from you, but always strive to observe the reaction itself. Because, as I just said, emotions will always fluctuate. Emotions are emotions. You know what I mean? Emotions will always be emotions. And you got to come to acceptance of that. So what you can do is you can observe the emotions. Remember, it's about your relationship to the emotions. Most people let their emotions run them on an unconscious level. They don't even realize it. It's not even their fault sometimes, you know? But when you become conscious, you understand that you can change your relationship to your emotions. Correct? So let's return back. Because if you react to all the positive things in life, then you would also react to the negative things too, no? Because you're reacting to one spectrum of emotion, so naturally you will react to another spectrum of emotion. And as I said before, I always compared vibration to emotion. So let's just think about that. Let's think of the two words as the exact same. If you are always reacting to your feelings, or vibrational frequency, whatever you feel, then what's the point? What's the point of living if you react when you feel good? Oh, you react when you feel bad. Oh, then what? You're just gonna keep reacting. Do you want to live in a reactive relationship with your own emotions? That's not practical. That's not sustainable. You can't live like that. You can't manifest your ideal life like that. That doesn't make sense. Think about it practically here, right? The reality is that it's a two-way street. If people want to feel good all the time and they want to feel high vibe and pleasure, then they need to suck it up and handle it when they feel like shit and they feel negative and they feel frustrated when when things aren't going their way because they're so attached to positive feelings. So naturally, they're going to be attached to negative feelings. It's a two-way street, and you have to accept it. That's the way it is. When you truly understand this, you'll find the beauty in both the positive and negative emotions / vibrations. When you truly understand this, you'll find the beauty in both the positive and negative emotions and vibrations, and or consider, both are technically the same. That's why I said that. So emotions / vibrations. And you will be able to utilize both forms of emotions, the pains and the pleasures, to take the actions that you need to take that are necessary to get to your desired reality, as well as focusing on who you need to become, which is the most important thing to manifest your goals, right? So those are the three mainstream quotes, if you will, that I wanted to cover because, it's just, you'll see it all the time when it comes to law of vibration. Woo! That was a lot. I conclude this video now. That was the bulk of this video. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more informative content like this. If you have any ideas, be sure to comment that as well. So yeah, without further ado, I'll see you. Oh, actually, wait. Before I wrap this up, make sure to watch the video about the being paradigm and who it is that you need to become, so you can get an even further grasp of how to manifest your desired reality. Because really, most of it is internal. Actually, no. I'd go as far as to say that it's all internal, other than the fact that you need to expand your comfort zone when taking actions. But if you don't give yourself a new identity to do so, then you can't. Because if you know you want something and you're not taking the actions needed to get there, it's probably an identity problem. So you have to look yourself in the mirror and be real with yourself, because it's a lot more internal than you may be willing to believe it is. Even if you're into manifestation and you're doing all the techniques and you're, watching all these people, they're talking about different, law of assumption, Neville Goddard, and maybe me. Like you'll watch all these different people, but I'll tell you this: it's more than likely an identity problem, and you're just finding different ways to avoid the problem. So that's why I would like you to watch that video. It's going to help you to confront that internal problem. If you're willing to do that, I mean, it's for you, so you should be. Now, if you are willing, I'll see you in that video. Peace.